Hello my beautiful artsy people and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to paint in mixed media. This cutesy little cactus is an image that I find on Unsplash, which is mostly a website for picture that you can use without worry about copyright. This is the image that I chose, but as always I start with a reference, but then I go my own way. As a sketchbook, I'm using the Talents Art Creation, and as I said, I'm using a mixed media technique, starting with a little sketch. I will add some watercolor as base. Now, this paper is not the best for watercolor, so you need to be very mindful of how much water you add in, and can hold up pretty well the first layer, but then you may need to be mindful of doing multiple layer that require to add water. So I'm usually doing a first watercolor layer, and then I change to some different type of medium. This is a watercolor palette that has just a mix of different brand, and so I don't use anything specific. Here I'm using a gold metallic pen. So as you see, I already derailed from the original design because I didn't want the background to be grayish white. I didn't want the mug to be white, the stone as well completely white, so I just went my own way. And I'm using now gouache for the flower on top, and I left it with gouache because I like the vibrancy of this color. I think it's a really beautiful color, and it suits very well the design. So as you see right now, I'm just adding things on top, and because I'm using gouache, I decided to work back on the background, adding some white. Well, it's not pure white. I like to mix my colors straight in the color, so sometimes it's just a dirty white, as it is in this case, but it worked out pretty well. I'm adding also a very washy light layer of yellow ochre. This because I wanted a shadow, but I don't want it to be strong. I don't want a strong color for it, so I decided to go to this washy yellow ochre. And I wanted to also add gouache blue color to define the mug all around, but it wasn't working out, so I decided to leave it like that. I'm using now acrylic marker, different tones of green, to add extra dimension to my cactus. This is the second green that I'm adding on the inside. And then I will go back to the first green and just add an extra layer because I like the tone and I want it to be thicker. By the moment I move to some color pencil. This is a Caran d'Ache Luminance and this is a Delerani, both of them green tone, different tones of green. I change brand simply because I do not have all the color of one brand. Otherwise I will just stick with Caran d'Ache or whatever is that I have. I also been adding some yellow tones of color pencil, and I'm going with a Jelly Roll pen white color to add some spike on top of my cactus. Here is where I add the thicker layer, as I was mentioning. I really don't like to have this white Jelly Roll. Is a bit too flimsy. The white spike doesn't really speak to me, so I went on top mostly and used this fluid acrylic from Dalerani that has this nice pipette, but you do have to shake the color pretty well before to start using, otherwise the binder separates, as it was in this case. I'm using a black fine liner to outline the stone. Now I just want to mention, just because I finished to move away from one part of the design doesn't mean I finish with it. I like to move back and forth in my design, so a part of the design is not complete until I say so. So I keep moving back and forth. I add some acrylic marker in silver color to my stone, but I will go back to work on it. Now I'm adding some color pencil. I have 3 different tone of blues that I will add to my mug to create the kind of tone that I like. Here I'm using another acrylic marker to outline just the outside of the mug, but once again I won't be completely satisfied, so I will actually use a watercolor pencil on top of it in the end. For acrylic marker, I don't usually mention brand. This is a Yono brand, but don't often mention it simply because I am not attached to any specific brand at the moment from the one I own. I don't think anybody really stands out as a brand, so yeah, this is the reason why I don't mention it. I don't want you to go and buy a specific brand of acrylic marker simply because I own it and I'm using it. So here is the watercolor pencil that I was mentioning, and I'm using it to outline the area around. There are some smudginess here and there in the design, especially in the handle of the mug, but I'm not bothered by it. Here, like, I'm so happy I found this out. I'm using a white China graphic pencil, which should be able to lie on top of any other supply. I don't feel like it gives me a really good white, but I found out that it works amazingly well to blend my color pencil, and as you can see, the mug looks so much better now. I also use another color pencil from Caran d'Ache to earth tone to create my base, and then once again the Chinagraphic white pencil to create some more shadow here and there. Also, I went back with the black Chinagraphic because I thought maybe it works on the stone too, to just blend the color out. So I add a little bit to the stone without pressing too hard, and then I add back some more silver and a little bit of white for contrast, but very fainting, so you don't even notice. I'm now adding some color pencil in a purple color on just one side of my flower on top, and then I will add a yellow color on the inside. I also will use Dalerani fluid acrylic with that juicy pipette to add some yellow on the white spike to give it more contrast. Here I'm using a neon marker in pink color to add more flower to my flower. It wasn't there in the original design, but I just thought it was really cute, and I wanted to add it. I will also add more pink flower on the body of the cactus, and on the outside, but I'll change my mind about the outside. I don't think it looks good, so I'll fix that mistake, because you can always fix mistake in art. That's the beauty of it. I let you enjoy the final result. If you watch until now, thank you so much. I would love for you to write the word cactus down in the comment, so I know you've been watching until here. And as always, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.